Once again, Chapter 12 is content-heavy, so Professor Reese has broken it down into two parts. This assignment, Assignment 11, covers pages 416 through 456. The final assignment, Assignment 12, will cover the rest of Chapter 12. In this assignment, we look at ways law enforcement responds to serial murder. The focus will be on forensic science, profiling, and federal agencies that can assist in the investigation of serial murder. The photograph you are looking at has nothing to do with serial murder. Professor Reese caught that moment while out cycling on Paducah's Greenway Trail. Apprehending serial killers is often extremely challenging. Several factors distinguish them from typical domestic murderers and other violent offenders. Many serial killers are highly mobile, moving across multiple law enforcement jurisdictions while remaining within a relatively small geographic area. They tend to target strangers and take care to leave minimal evidence at crime scenes. In some cases, months may pass before a community even notices that vulnerable victims, such as prostitutes, are disappearing. As a result, significant time can elapse before agencies begin communicating and identifying a pattern of related homicides. Coordinating information becomes even more difficult when offenders cross state lines, as is common with so-called truck stop predators who abduct and kill while traveling. Public pressure often calls for the swift apprehension of serial offenders, but such investigations require substantial interagency coordination and resources. Beauregard and Bouchard, in their study of forensic awareness and detection avoidance strategies, analyzed 222 rape cases involving Canadian offenders. They found that those under the influence of drugs or alcohol displayed less forensic awareness, while offenders with specific victim preferences were more likely to take precautions. Similarly, offenders who entered a victim's home and engaged in certain sexual acts tended to show greater forensic awareness. Overall, however, offenders were inconsistent, focusing mainly on concealing their identities, yet often leaving behind DNA evidence that tied them to the scene. The resolution of major cases demands substantial resources and extensive interagency coordination, encompassing the management of media attention, allocation of departmental assets, collaboration across multiple jurisdictions, and the navigation of often highly complex circumstances. Forensic science has emerged as a critical component in the investigation of such cases. The term forensics refers to matters pertaining to or utilized in courts of law. Your text defines forensics as belonging to or used in courts of law. Forensic science is formally defined as the application of scientific principles and methods to legal processes. In essence, it involves the scientific examination and analysis of evidence to assist the court in ascertaining the truth. There are strict standards for the use of scientific evidence in court. It is incumbent on law enforcement to ensure evidence is collected and handled in a manner conforming to the rules of evidence. Professor Reese covers this more deeply in his criminal investigations course. It is also important that the scientific experts analyze evidence according to certain standards. Two landmark court cases govern the admissibility of scientific evidence in legal proceedings: Fry v. United States and Daubert v. Merrill Dow Pharmaceuticals. In Fry, the United States Supreme Court established the general acceptance standard, under which scientific evidence is admissible only if the underlying technique is generally accepted within the relevant scientific community. In Daubert, the Supreme Court expanded judicial discretion by empowering trial judges to serve as gatekeepers, tasked with determining whether an expert's scientific testimony is sufficiently reliable to be presented to a jury. Unlike Fry, which emphasizes consensus within the scientific community, Daubert focuses on the judge's assessment of the methodology's validity and relevance. The concept of profiling encompasses a broad range of applications within forensic science. The related notion of typology has informed the development of various profiling methods that are now routinely employed as investigative tools in cases ranging from white-collar crimes to serial homicides. Contemporary investigative profiling can be approached from multiple perspectives, including offender profiling, victim profiling, equivocal death profiling, DNA profiling, crime scene profiling, psychological profiling, geographic profiling, and paraphilia profiling. While profiling can serve as a valuable aid to investigations, it is essential to exercise caution and methodological rigor. Hastily constructed or insufficiently supported profiles pose a significant risk of misdirecting investigations and wasting valuable resources. The case of the Washington, D.C. snipers serves as a notable example of this cautionary principle. Additionally, some investigators may misinterpret or altogether disregard offender profiles, choosing instead to form premature conclusions based on isolated pieces of physical evidence. The National Center for the Analysis of Violent Crime, NCAVC, was established as a resource and clearinghouse for law enforcement agencies investigating unusual, bizarre, vicious, or repetitive violent crimes. At its inception, the NCAVC comprised 4 core programs: research and development, training, profiling, and consultation, and the Violent Criminal Apprehension Program, VCAP. Your text outlines additional federal resources available to assist local agencies in major crime investigations, which are beyond the scope of this summary. Professor Reese recommends reviewing the chapter to better understand how federal and local agencies collaborate. Importantly, no federal program can compensate for inadequate local investigations. The success of a case depends on several critical factors, including 1. The quality of police interviews with eyewitnesses. 2. The circumstances surrounding the initial stop of the suspect. 3. The establishment of probable cause for searches and seizures. 4. The thoroughness of crime scene investigations. 5. The accuracy of scientific analysis of physical evidence. Have a great day.